High above Barcelona, glass facades open to the horizon. A private pool terrace floats above the city, where every line radiates tranquility. This is not a place of coincidence, nor is it a display of ostentatious luxury. This is the sanctuary of Xavi Hernandez, the man who understood the game before others even saw it. But before we explore his penthouse, his wealth, and his family life, we must go back to the moment where it all began.
Xavi Hernandez was born in Terrassa, Catalonia, into a family where football was everywhere. His father, Joaquim, played in the lower leagues himself, and his mother often shared later that Xavi's first steps weren't toward people, but toward a ball. To him, football wasn't just a hobby, it was a language he understood from a young age. Already at the age of 11, the small midfielder caught the eye of FC Barcelona scouts while orchestrating play at his local club, UFB Jabak Terrassa, as if he were years older. That same year, he joined the famous youth academy, La Masia. It quickly became clear that Xavi wasn't just a talent with potential, he was destined to become the future heartbeat of the game. At La Masia, he learned more than just technique, he learned to think. Spatial awareness, timing, and football intelligence defined his style. While other players stood out for their speed or strength, Xavi controlled the game with his mind. But could such an unassuming boy truly become the engine room of one of the world's greatest clubs?
In August 1998, Xavi Hernandez made his professional debut for FC Barcelona. Under coach Louis van Gaal, he stepped onto the big stage for the first time, and just a few months later, he scored his first goal for the senior team in the Spanish Super Cup. Yet, these early moments were just the opening act. The real story began years later, when Barcelona needed a new conductor in midfield. When Pep Guardiola took the reins, he placed the center of the game in Xavi's hands. From that moment on, FC Barcelona's midfield turned into a precise choreography. Together with Andres Iniesta, Xavi built the foundation of a style that would become known as tiki-taka. It was a philosophy built on possession, quick thinking, and absolute control. With Lionel Messi as the finisher of their ideas, Barcelona achieved a level of dominance rarely seen in modern football. Between 2008 and 2012, the club won the Champions League 4 times, 8 league titles, and multiple cups. But what truly set Xavi apart wasn't the trophies, it was his ability to dictate the rhythm of a match. For nearly 2 decades, he was the team's compass. Every pass, every turn, every brief pause seemed decided in his mind before other players even understood the situation. Xavi didn't just understand football faster, he understood it more deeply. When he left the club in 2015, it felt like the end of an era. But was his story really over?
Parallel to his rise at FC Barcelona, Xavi's story with the Spanish national team unfolded. As early as 1999, he led the U20 squad to the Youth World Cup final. A year later, he debuted for the senior national team, but the true peak was still to come. Between 2008 and 2012, Spain enjoyed a period of absolute dominance in world football, winning Euro 2008, the 2010 World Cup, and Euro 2012 again created a trilogy few nations had ever achieved. Throughout these tournaments, Xavi was the strategic pulse of the team. While others shone with goals or dribbling, he controlled the flow with passes, positioning, and perfect timing. He was the silent architect, setting the tempo and bringing order to every phase of play. In 133 international appearances, he may have only scored 13 goals, but his impact transcended statistics. He embodied the playing style of an entire generation. Spain didn't just play successfully, they reimagined football, and at the heart of that vision was Xavi. But after years at the summit, a new question arose. What follows the peak of such a career?
When Xavi Hernandez left Europe in 2015, it wasn't to retire. His move to Al Sadd in Qatar was not a goodbye to football, but the start of a new learning process. In a completely different environment, he continued his career, this time with a broader perspective on the game. Between 2015 and 2019, he won several national titles with Al Sadd and took on increasing responsibility off the pitch. He became a mentor to younger players, explaining patterns, correcting positions, and beginning to view football through more than just a player's lens. Eventually, he even stepped into the role of player coach, a crucial step in his evolution.
In May 2019, Xavi officially hung up his boots, but instead of an ending, it was a transition. Qatar became his classroom, where he learned to turn his football intelligence into leadership. The midfield maestro evolved into a modern strategist on the sidelines. The question was no longer whether Xavi would become a coach, but when he would be ready for the next big challenge. In November 2021, fate called Xavi back home. FC Barcelona was in a period of upheaval, financially crippled, and sportingly searching for its lost identity. In that moment, the club turned once again to its former playmaker, this time not for the midfield, but for the dugout. Xavi took over a team in transition and tried to restore the principles that once made Barcelona great. Control, structure, and game intelligence were once again the focus. In his first full season, he led the team back to glory. Winning a Spanish league title and the Supercopa in the 2022-23 season marked a return to stability and confidence. But as in football and in life, success is rarely a straight line. The 2023-24 season was turbulent, marked by setbacks and mounting pressure. After a tough loss to Girona in April 2024, Xavi announced his departure. He left the manager seat the same way he once left the pitch, with dignity, gratitude, and a profound bond with the club. From the boy in Terrassa to the man who renewed the spirit of Barcelona, his story remains forever tied to the Blaugrana.
Away from the public eye, Xavi Hernandez's private life is one of calm and balance. High above Barcelona sits his duplex penthouse, a sanctuary defined not by excess, but by clarity and harmony. From the moment you enter, light, open spaces, and a deliberate restraint in design take center stage. Large windows connect the living area to a wraparound terrace, offering views across the city and the Mediterranean. The kitchen and living room flow into one another, designed for daily life, family, and quiet moments away from the spotlight. Everything feels functional and modern, yet warm. The upper level houses the private quarters. The master suite opens onto its own terrace, intended for quiet mornings. Finally, on the roof lies the heart of the home, a private pool terrace with sun decks and space for relaxed evenings. This isn't a place for show, it's a space for peace and balance. This home perfectly reflects the values that have shaped Xavi's life and career. Xavi Hernandez's financial success isn't built on flash, but on consistency. His estimated net worth of around $45 million is the result of a long, structured career. Even back at FC Barcelona, his earnings grew in line with his sporting importance. At first, he earned a relatively modest wage, but as he became captain and the team's tactical center, his salary rose significantly. During the height of the tiki-taka era, his annual income, including bonuses, hit double-digit millions. The move to Qatar brought another financial step up. At Al Sadd, he was among the highest-paid players outside Europe, finishing his playing career with total career earnings exceeding $100 million. This path continued as a coach. After successful years in Qatar, Xavi returned to Barcelona in 2021. His salary grew with his results, but his loyalty remained striking. In 2024, he voluntarily waived part of his compensation to help ease the club's financial burden. Sponsors were a constant but understated presence. Long-term partnerships with Adidas, along with deals with Audi and Cupra, supplemented his income. For Xavi, success never meant excess. It meant control, stability, and a long-term perspective. Despite his global fame, Xavi Hernandez has always kept a low profile in his private life. Family and stability have always mattered more to him than public attention. This attitude is most evident in his marriage to Núria Cunileira, a Catalan journalist who has consciously stayed out of the spotlight. The two married in July 2013 in a quiet, elegant ceremony on the Catalan coast. Their relationship has grown away from the media's glare. While Xavi's career took him between Barcelona and Qatar, his family remained his anchor. Today, his wife and children are the center of his daily life. For Xavi, success isn't about fame or trophies, but the quiet moments with those closest to him. And that is the lasting image, a man whose life is defined by precision, discipline, and balance. From the pitch to the dugout to his penthouse high above Barcelona, the same core always shines through. Control without the noise, success without the show, and family at the center. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of a true legend, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story.